Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys is another review. Today we're tackling the Nickelodeon show Avatar: The Last Airbender. No, not the Avatar, the blue people, the Avatar, the bald kid with the arrow down his face. And look, so first and foremost, I just got to say a review of this, the actual Blu-ray set I got. It looks badass, right? You got Aang right there looking cool. Got the back, you open it up, you got the Blu-rays and all that. You got a cool cover with Aang, Sokka, Toph, Zuko, and Katara, but of course, yeah, I'm not going to open it because when you open this thing up, either the mailman threw it like a friggin' brick or something. I take care of my shite, but I don't know what happened to it, but you open the thing up and all the discs, they just flop out, so it was a miracle I got to watch the whole thing on my Blu-ray player and it didn't all break. But a review of that aside, this is a show that I've wanted to see for a very long time. I haven't gotten into anime for a long while. I basically just watched Pokemon, and that was essentially my extent of anime. And then I was like, okay, let's branch out. Let's do something different, And of course, with that, I believe someone in my comments was like, "Oh, Franchise, you gotta watch Avatar: Last Airbender." And I was like, all right, fine. I've always wanted to see it, and whatever. Now, I never had cable growing up, so I never really had access to watching it. Of course, there wasn't all the streaming crap when this was airing in 2005, 2007, that type of thing. And, now that I actually have seen the entire show, and I can not only say that I'm a massive fan of the show, I'm excited with the new Avatar. I believe we're getting a movie in 2025 or something like that. There's the Legend of Korra TV show, which is a sequel show to Avatar: Last Airbender, which I do own. I have some stuff I'm watching first. I got to get back into the MCU stuff. Took a break from that. Now that I'm on summer break, I should have more time to watch 2.5-hour long films now. And it definitely is, very much a franchise, so I do want to get back into. And again, I do own Legend of Korra. I got to get to doing it. But so far, man, this is a good friggin' show. When I came into it, I was like, okay, it's going to... I for some reason had this preconception in my mind that it's going to be like Ninjago. There's martial arts and there's elemental powers and all that, but it's going to be really kiddie. It's going to be really dumb. It's just joke. And then I watched it, and the animation, obviously it's dated, right? It's like 2005 or whatever, but, for animation, especially on Nickelodeon's budget, that is a good animated looking show. I mean, just pure the animation quality alone, it's fantastic. And of course, it only gets better as the show goes on. But yeah, I mean, I like anime. I like the style. It's kind of like, I don't even know how to word it. It's like lower frame rate or whatever they're doing with the pens and the pencils on paper. I don't know, but it looks good. So the animation quality is really, really good. The voice acting, that's where my first negative goes. But for the most part, the voices are very good, right? Aang, Toph, Katara, Sokka, they're all good voices. Uncle Iroh, for example. There's a lot of general, the main bad guy, Mark Hamill's character, Fire Lord Ozai, he's a good, or the Fire Hawk or whatever, the Flaming Birdo, I don't know, whatever his thing was. But, the voices are good in that. The animation's spectacular. The action scenes, while they start off a little bit rudimentary, again, when you're watching the show for the first time, you have to understand that, they're working on it too, so like it's literally the beginning of the frame. It's like the New Hope or the Phantom Menace. You know what I mean? You got to start somewhere, and it's good. I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? But it does get better as the show progresses. Right? The 3 seasons that you get in the show, it does gradually get better. The action scenes get quicker, more exciting, more fast paced. All that stuff. Not to say they're bad in the beginning, but it's good. But again, I had that preconception that it's gonna be like Ninjago but kiddie. This is thankfully not a kid show. I was expecting it to be really jokey and really like talking, dumbed down, and no one dies and no one gets hurt and it's all just jokes. Now, I'm not saying a comedy show is a kid show, but I was expecting it to be where they would physically talk to you, and I just wasn't well versed in the franchise. I just had this effing, I don't know, I just had this expectation of this is what it's going to be. And, it's not the most brutal show in the world, but it's certainly not a children's show. I mean, I know a lot of people probably saw it as kids, and I know some people say, it's marketed toward kids. Maybe it is, but again, my definition of a kid show is something that is strictly only for children, like Blue's Clues, Arthur, and then you got your adult animated shows like Family Guy or Simpsons or Rick and Morty, and then you have the all ages stuff, which is 99% of animation, right? Lego movies, and of course, regular shows, SpongeBob, Teen Titans Go, stuff that is, accessible for a kid, but it's not made for a kid. It's made for everyone. It's right. You could be 14, you could be 40, you could be 12, you know, whatever. And this is definitely one of those shows. Again, I'm watching it at age 24, and I never once felt like, they could have got, you know, obviously there are moments where, you know, I was like, oh, that should have been more brutal, but there was never any moment where I was like, oh, they really dumbed that down. You know, there's blood, not a lot, but there is blood. You know, there's war, there's genocide, there's death, there's suicide, there's loss, there's betrayal, there's murder, there's killing, and you know, there are people that die, there are consequences, right? There's not a whole lot of fist fighting where you see people get punched in the head, but, you know, obviously because it's the last Airbender, right, there's the different bending, right, so like fire bending, earth bending, water bending, that kind of thing, and, you know, a lot of the action scenes are kind of promoted to that kind of style, where it's not necessarily like, you know, Ninjago, one of the, I guess some people can fault Ninjago for this is they have all these crazy badass abilities. Like, you know, Kai can freaking shoot fire out of his hands and Nia can manipulate water, and they do that in that show. But a lot of the action scenes in Ninjago are fist fights or knife fights or sword fights. They're not all elemental fights. You know what I mean? There's a good variety. This is more or less strictly related to the elemental abilities, which I don't have a problem with. It's just, it's cool and it's different, you know. But overall, man, like I said, it's got a really good story. Of course, it starts out kind of slow. I'm not going to spoil it because oh, it's an old show. Yeah, well, I didn't watch that old show. So for anyone who didn't either, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But, you know, it's got a really good story with Aang, of course, which I always thought he was just born bald or some shit. I don't know. I knew nothing. But, no, he has hair. He just shaves his head voluntarily. I don't know why you do that at 12 years old, but you do you. And then, you know, of course you get, the freaking, like, the blue arrow streak. I'm like, oh, that's a fucking weird tattoo. Was you born with that? No. Again, I'm stupid, and that is a symbol given to airbenders, and of course, the last airbender, the last Jedi, I should have gotten that, but I didn't. So, good story with Aang, of course, you know, basically he is the Avatar, and the Avatar is kind of like, I guess like Adventure Time with Finn the human, how he's like a descendant of a effing comet, or whatever they were doing in that show. It's kind of like that, in a sense, or maybe it's like Hindu religion, or like Muslim, I don't know, not my religion. It's another religion out there where like you're reincarnated, like you're a human, and then you die, and then you're like a fly or some shit, and then you go, and then you become a cat, I don't know, you know what I mean? It's like that. And basically there's a whole bunch of, you know, Kyoshi, Avatar Roku, there's a bunch of these different old air avatars that kind of, you know, morph into, and when they die or whatever, they just kind of get reborn, and the latest is, of course, Aang. And the reason why he's 12 or 13, whatever, I think he starts at age 12, and he goes to like age 13 or 14 by the end. But he basically is like he does a cowardice thing, and Katara and Sokka literally find him in the water tribe, just in an iceberg, like Captain America style. And I was like, how did he get in there? And of course, I'm not going to tell you, but these answers do get, or these questions do get answered in the show, which is really good. You know, it's not as in depth as, you know, say a Ninjago, maybe you're like Star Wars or Marvel, but it doesn't need to be. It's its own lore, its own canon. It's big enough where they can do prequels, they can do sequels, which they already have, and they already are doing more. So there's a lot of stuff that you can go, okay, it starts here and it ends here. There's all this stuff in the middle that you really don't know about, and you kind of get, throughout watching the show, you get these kind of pieces, you know, put back together into this wider picture, and it's pretty effing cool. I gotta say it. The storytelling is great. And again, I don't want to just keep comparing it to Ninjago, but they're a little similar in that aspect. I do believe, though, that Ninjago is a better show in terms of voice acting, action, writing, all that. That's not to dig on this show, because it is still spectacular. I teared up a few times, I gotta admit, because it's emotional. You know, you care about these characters throughout these 3 seasons. They're really well written. For the most part, they're really well voice acted, and the plot is strong enough that it carries you for, you know, like myself, I wanted to know the history of the Avatars, and I wanted to see where Aang and Sokka and Katara and Toph and Momo and all these you know, characters were going to go from point A to point B, and kind of, you know, Aang would eventually get his training, and of course, you know, battle Fire Lord Ozai. And there's some really cool action scenes, there's some really good character arcs, especially with Zuko and Uncle Iroh. So yeah, I mean, I was very much impressed by the show. Again, I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting a really kiddie show, stupid jokes, you know, they talk down and they're like, here kids, this is how you do it. And it's like, no, but this is like the real shit, you know what I mean? This is like crazy. And it definitely, like I said, it's not an X-rated adult show, but it's not trying to be that, and it's also not a show for little children. It's a show that I would, if I were to rate this, my boomer mind, I'd probably give this a 11, 12, 13 up. I mean, it's not the most brutal thing ever, but there's more death and violence and action and just you know, a lot of people go, oh, well, you don't see the character die. It doesn't matter. If you know that a character died, they still freaking died. Like, you can piece that together in your head. There are some characters that you do see pass away. There's some characters that do off screen, or you're told of it, or whatever, but it's the same, you know, impact, and I think that's really, really powerful. Of course, you know, I'm not also trying to say that, you know, SpongeBob is bad because there's no death and that's a comedy. This is more mature, but for a Nickelodeon show where a lot of the Nickelodeon shows are comedies, this does have some funny moments in it, especially with Sokka. You know, I wouldn't say it's comedy, but there are funny moments in it. And they're not adding funny moments to appeal to the 4-year-old watching. They're genuinely funny moments. And with this, you know, they do strike a balance of intensity, and you know, they do one episode where a character, you see him get cut with a sword, and then a character like has a samurai fight in a desert, and then Ash's pet gets captured. He kills a bug. And then, you know, there's genocidal talk, and a person's mom dies, and that F's her up, and there's this like a blood bending, and you like manipulate people, like puppeteering them to like do evil shit. It's crazy. And then you get another episode where it's like, oh yeah, we're watching a play for 20 minutes, and there's funny jokes. You know what I mean? So it's like that, where they're not filler episodes, but there are episodes that are more jovial and lighthearted to not only flesh out the world, but also flesh out these characters. You know, because when stuff happens, you want to care. You know, it's like a horror movie. You know, I just saw Evil Dead Rise again with Alan. I think he hated it. I think he wants to beat me up. But I effing loved it the second time. It was perfect. I was like, Alan's like this, and I'm like, yes. I'm sitting there, my legs crossed, I'm drinking my soda, I'm having fun. And it was kind of funny because watching that movie, Evil Dead Rise, the second time, I was like, okay, without ruining that film, of course, there are characters in that film that, you know, it's not the best writing ever. For an Evil Dead movie, though, when stuff happens to certain characters, I kind of cared. You know what I mean? This is the same thing, of course, 10 times. When something happened to these characters, I really cared, because not only do we get the time for that, but we get, you know, really good funny moments, and we get some hardcore moments, and it's just a really good show. I think that really, of course, you know, Dave Filoni did it, and he's the Clone Wars guy, which is really cool. I know Dave Filoni is, everyone worships him like Jesus incarnate. I think he's an alright dude. He makes good Star Wars content. I still think the sequels are the best, but I do like what he's doing. But with Dave Filoni, of course, no one remembers he did Avatar, apparently, but he did, and that was cool. Did a good job with it. But yeah, whenever Dave Filoni gets mentioned, they're like, Dave Filoni good, Kathleen Kennedy bad. Dave Filoni good, sequel's bad. It's like, shut up. You know, all Star Wars is good. But anyway, beside the point, Dave Filoni does a good job on this. Before he did any of the Star Wars stuff, he did a pretty good job. Like, there's some like the cinematography. No one ever mentions cinematography for animated movies or animation in general, right? No one. I've never even seen it in my life. They go, wow, the Batman, that has great cinematography. Or wow, you know, I don't know, freaking Joker had great cinematography. That one shot in Joker, that was awesome, man. Or Evil Dead Rise, beautiful cinematography. No one mentions animated content, but I know it's not filmed with a camera, but it's practically the same freaking thing. This show has good cinematography. There's a lot of really good shots, a lot of very good direction. The action scenes aren't flat. They're very intense and action-packed. The music is good. Really good stuff. Of course, Azula, you know, another good Fire Lord and Fire Nation characters. So there's a lot of really good stuff. There's really not a whole lot to not like. In fact, one of my only issues is the voice acting for Zuko. I think he's really not a good voice actor. I think the voice fits, like the voice pitch fits the character, but the voice acting doesn't work. And how do I mean by that? Well, you know, everyone else is good. And then Zuko talks. I was watching a Game Ranks video from the channel Game Ranks, and I don't know the guy's name. I'm not going to say it, but there's the one narrator. He talks like he's gargling marbles. He's like, or Zuko is the same thing. I don't even know if I can like do it. I probably just did it right there. But Zuko's like, we have to capture the Avatar. Uncle Ira, when are you gonna the Avatar? I'm like, what? Like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? There's so many moments where he just like mumbles his words out, and it just seems so unprofessional compared to the others. Or I don't know if he has a lisp. I'm not trying to say if you have a lisp, you're a bad. You don't F my words around. But it just sounds off. Like, everything about his voice performance is just completely and utterly completely off. I don't know what it is. It's hard to explain it. Again, there's lines where he's like, Uncle, you don't have to stop the Avatar. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm playing it for jokes, but it very much is a... I was watching it, and the whole show, I'm like, this is not a good voice actor. maybe he's back. I don't know. Apparently the new Avatar movie or show they got, apparently they're like, the old voices aren't, they're woke. So they're gonna actually make the Asian characters like Asian. I don't know. A lot of people are mad with that. I think the voices are good except for Zuko. Again, I like the voice pitch. He sounds like an angsty 14-year-old, but the actual performance itself, his delivery of the lines, it seems like he's rushing through his lines. He's not giving enough oomph. And there are good moments. I'm not saying everything he says, everything that comes out of Zuko's mouth is bad. It's just that there's a lot of the times I'm listening to this performance and I'm like, this is not as good as any other one in the show. And besides that, that's really my only negative. I think it ends really well. I think there's some really good character moments, good character arcs where a character goes from point A to point B by the end, and it's really good and rewarding. Action scenes are good. There's a good amount of of maturity to it, where it doesn't feel like overwhelmingly sad and depressing like Ninjago could be sometimes, but it also doesn't feel overly goofy and there's no stakes and everything's a cartoon and nothing matters. I mean, it's the perfect balance. There are fun episodes, and then there's really effing dark episodes where you're like, how did Nickelodeon allow this on the channel? It's like Ninjago. How did Cartoon Network allow Ninjago? I've seen so many adult-rated shows, either animated or not animated, and I swear to God, Ninjago is the most adult show I've ever seen in my life. Just from thematic messaging alone, and like the meaning behind it, and like the content. Obviously, there's more violent shows than Ninjago, but there's like, if I were to tell you that there's suicide attempt and death in Ninjago, you'd be like, nah, it's just how toys, But if you actually watch the show, it's pretty effed up in certain spots. And it's the same thing here. I went into it thinking it was going to be some goofy, stupid kid show, and I came out of it loving it as a 24-year-old man. It was good, okay? Again, there were no babies, there were no toddlers in my room, in my family room when I was watching this shit. It was just me, 24-year-old me, and I definitely enjoyed it. Again, I never felt like they were talking down to me. It felt the perfect blend of some funny moments, some really dark moments, really good storytelling, good voice acting for the most part, good writing, good character moments. I mean, it's a freaking hit for Nickelodeon where, it was very rare, I'm assuming at the time, where you're playing SpongeBob and Hey Arnold, which are primarily comedies meant for people to laugh at, to then, you're watching SpongeBob, you're laughing your buns off, and then you watch this and you're like effing on the verge of tears because Uncle Iroh's mourning his son or whatever. He's singing a song they used to sing and he's crying at his grave, and you're like, how do we get from that to that? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But it's a very good show. What can I say? I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be this good, but I came away very, very pleased, and I cannot wait to see what the future of Avatar holds. I cannot wait to dive into The Legend of Korra. Again, I own it, and I'm going to watch it very soon here. I'm currently watching The Bad Batch Season 2. I've never seen that before, so if you want me to review that when I finish it, make sure to tell me down below. And then I got the MCU stuff, but I am going to cover The Legend of Korra at some point. I could make more videos on Avatar if you want me to. If you have any specific topics or specific arcs you want me to talk about, Zuko's arc or Aang's arc or Katara or Sokka, whatever, tell me down below in the comments and I'll make a video and I'll shout you out because I want to talk more about Avatar. But again, I can make this video 3 hours long because I'm reviewing the whole show. And it's hard to do that in a 20-some whatever odd minute long video, but hopefully I got my point across well, that I came into it not expecting much, and I ended up really effing loving it. The animation was great, action was great, writing was great, the plot points are really good, the lore building is incredible, the animation is good, the comedy's good, the action is fantastic, the mature elements are really good, and it doesn't feel... I think they strike the right balance for sure, where, I think a 13-year-old could watch this and be fine, or a 12-year-old, but a 24-year-old like myself could watch it without any other toddlers in the room and completely feel like this is a show that an adult would love watching without a kid in there. Because, that stupid-ass excuse where they're like, I saw Puss in Boots, but I saw it with my kid. You know what I mean? It's like, no, just, you can watch it without a kid. You know what I mean? Christ. But anyway, I've been on that bandwagon enough. But I definitely enjoyed Avatar The Last Airbender, for sure. I can't wait to see what they do. Hopefully they don't muck it up and make it kiddie and make it woke in the future. But as of right now, I genuinely enjoyed this show. There's 1 or 2 episodes that aren't as strong or a little boring, because whatever. But none of the episodes were downright bad. And when an episode gets good, it gets freaking really good. And it grips you in and it sucks you in. Crazy, man. It's a great show. So I'm going to give Avatar The Last Airbender probably from a 0 to a 10, probably give it a 9. I think that really my only negatives would be maybe there's 1 or 2 jokes didn't land. Maybe there's 1 or 2 episodes that weren't as endearing as some others. And of course, Zuko's voice acting isn't necessarily the best. And a lot of the times when I hear it, I would just be drawn out or I would physically cringe because of his performance. Maybe that's just me. I don't really see a whole lot of that online. Again, I don't like look up Avatar hate online. I'm not like that kind of guy. Star Wars hate, Avatar hate. You know, I don't do that. Normally, whatever I say goes. I mean, I'll listen to others, but if I like something, I'm not gonna listen to some other guy tell me it's shit. You know, I'm like, oh, maybe you're right. No, I like it. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe that's just me thinking that. But, you know, tell me down below in the comments what you think about Avatar: The Last Airbender without spoiling it. Because, again, I know it's an old show. But upon just watching for the first time myself, I just finished this maybe about a month ago, and I wanted to ruminate on it and think about it. So don't ruin it for anyone else in the comments, but tell me without doing that what you thought about it. What would you give from a 0 to 10? And are you excited for the new Avatar stuff coming up? I did not watch the Avatar movie from M. Night Shyamalan. I don't want to. I'm just going to be honest. It looks like death. But if you really want me to review it, I might be able to find a cheap copy or from the library, and you know, you can watch me suffer for however long that is. I don't want to watch it, but if you want me to review it, I'll review it, because it's a free video for you guys. It's content for me, and I want to just see how badly they muck up the Last Airbender, or whatever they call them in that. But anyway, yeah, can't wait to get to The Legend of Korra, which is going to be coming up real soon here. Well, not real soon. It'll be coming up, though, so don't worry. Look forward to it. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be awesome. Again, tell me down below what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed my review of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Again, not the blue people, the kid with the arrow down his face. I really enjoyed it, and I came away very surprised. And, again, I just genuinely enjoyed it upon not really expecting much. But, hey, I thought it was pretty cool. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.